The spiritual life begins with the realization that everything we are and everything we have is a gift. None of us did anything. None of us could ever have done anything to earn the gifts of life and consciousness. The world is a gift, and my life is a gift. My life in the world is a gift within a gift. In a stunning passage in the Guide of the Perplexed, Maimonides explains the words of Psalm 89, Olam Chesed Yibaneh, to mean the existence of the world is a manifestation of grace. For Maimonides, I think, this is where spirituality begins, with the stunning realization that everything is grace. Grace is a word largely abandoned by Jews for fear of sounding too Christian, and yet it powerfully expresses a core idea Jewish spirituality simply cannot do without: grace, receiving something I did not earn and had no right to expect or demand, but there it is, a gift from God, freely and lovingly bestowed. But what does it mean to say that our lives are a gift? Think about this experientially. We are not observers of, but rather participants in the gift of life. We ourselves are part of that gift. Abraham Joshua Heschel captures this sense and much else beautifully. The self did not originate in itself, he writes. Existence is not a property, but a trust. I am what is not mine. I am what is not mine. Spiritual life is not, or in any case, is not just about knowing this abstractly or philosophically. It's about working to keep the reality that life is a gift constantly alive in my awareness. Religion tries to keep us perpetually surprised by life and therefore eternally grateful for it. That's why true religion and a culture of entitlement are ultimately at loggerheads. If I'm entitled to everything I have, then I have no reason ever to be grateful to God or to anyone else. Religion reminds me how much I have been given, as opposed to how much I have really truly made myself. When it works, which is a big caveat, religion is as powerful an antidote to the insidious culture of enlightenment as we could possibly have. Jewish theology teaches that we have received much more than just the bare gifts of life and consciousness, though these are obviously a lot. We have also, Jews remember, been freed from slavery. And Jewish spirituality pivots on the realization that had God not freed us from under Pharaoh's oppressive yoke, we today would be enslaved and degraded. That, after all, is the meaning of Pesach. Life and consciousness, but also freedom, are crucial and fundamental gifts around which we orient our lives. After being liberated from Egypt, we were given another gift, and Jewish spirituality cannot imagine a greater, more precious, or more beautiful gift. Not a burden, but a gift, the gift of Torah. As Psalm 119, a love song about Torah, puts it, "Oh, how I love your Torah. I talk about it all day long. Ma'ahavti Toratecha, kol hayom hisichati. Were it not for your Torah, which is my delight, I would perish in my affliction." To be a Jewish human being, then, is to be ever grateful for gifts upon gifts, for life and consciousness, for love, for freedom, and for the sheer joy of Torah. Where does gratitude lead? Let's think about this experientially. If you close your eyes for a moment and imagine a moment in your life when you received something you did not expect and had no right to demand, a gift, a kind word, whatever. If you feel into the fullness of the gratitude, you will probably notice that gratitude by its nature turns outward. A grateful heart overflows. Contemplating all that we've been given, many of us also feel a sense of indebtedness. Heschel again puts this powerfully. It is the sense that what we own, we owe. It is the feeling Jewish liturgy expresses with the words, Ma ashiv ladonai kol tagmulohi alai. How can I possibly repay God for all the bounties I have received? Gratitude yields an urge to worship. That is the topic of another talk. But also, crucially, it yields a desire to repay. A desire to repay or pay forward is constitutive of authentic gratitude. It is a desire to meet kindness with kindness. The desire to repay in some way is what makes gratitude different from mere gladness. Gratitude turns me outwards, towards others and their needs. The worshipful dimension in all this is that sometimes we're so moved and grateful for the gifts we've received from someone that we want to be and behave just like them. That is the psychological and spiritual basis of walking in God's ways, as Maimonides understands it. Having been given so much, we too yearn to be givers. But it's not just about our response. Jewish theology teaches that God gives in the hopes that we too will become givers. Rabbi Eliyahu Dessler teaches that the capacity to give freely and generously is Tselem Elohim. So if we do not give, we are in some fundamental way at odds with ourselves. We are not who we are meant to be. We are not who, on some level, we already are. The moment when God first appears to Abram is stunning. Va'avarechecha, I will bless you, God says. And then, right away, without skipping a beat, God adds, V'heyeh bracha, and be a blessing. Having so abundantly been blessed, we are called to be and bestow blessing ourselves. That is taught at the very foundational moment of the Jewish people's covenant with God. The Christian theologian Miroslav Volf, who developed similar ideas, puts this very powerfully. He writes, we are not just the intended recipients of God's gifts. We are also their channels. As channels, we exist not just to enjoy things, but also to pass them on. Our purpose is twofold, to flourish and to help others flourish. Or, as Rabbi Yitzchak Hutner puts it, when a person receives a benefit from his fellow, a seed of chesed, of love and kindness, is planted in his world. If the nature of chesed is functioning healthily and properly, this seed cannot but give rise to additional chesed. Or we might say, chesed begets chesed. God's chesed begets ours. This is why gratitude is so closely entwined with generosity. The more aware I become, not just cognitively, but also emotionally and existentially, of how much I have been given, the more I too want to give to those in need. Gratitude is not the only path to empathy or generosity, but it is a powerful one and an extremely potent one, and it flows through the very heart of Jewish spirituality. Most of us in this room have been privileged in ways most of the human race can scarcely imagine. Even those of us who have suffered and continue to suffer terribly have also been veritably showered with blessing and abundance. Judaism insists that we face no more crucial or urgent existential question than this one: how will I repay the bounty I have received? We live in a world suffused with suffering and deprivation. We are here tonight in a city overrun by so much pain and loneliness and illness and devastation. The Torah asks us a simple question, one that ought to pierce every defense and comfort we have. You've been given so much. What will you give? You have received so many blessings. How will you pass them on? God calls us. The question before us is, will we answer blessing with blessing? Thank you.